Yona and Tim emerge from the train wreckage. With each step she takes, she realizes that she is not freezing to death. It's still very cold, but in her large fur coat, she is surviving in what she once thought was an unlivable environment. All that she can see is snowy mountains and the train, when suddenly she spots a polar bear. As she questions how this animal has survived, she is interrupted. "Where's my mom?" Tim says. Yona is honest and says, "I don't know." The two search the wreckage for any possible survivors. After hours with no success, Yona arrives upon Tanya, Tim's mom, who is dead. Yona doesn't want Tim to see his mom like this, so she grabs the large coat of another passenger and places it over the corpse. However, when Yona turns around, she sees that Tim is watching. Tears are streaming down his face. Yona approaches Tim, embraces him, and tells him that she's sorry. That evening, they bury Tanya's body deep in the snow and hold a funeral. They then search the wreckage for food, and luckily, it all survived. They eat in silence, both thinking about what has happened and their future. Yona is able to start a fire, and they go to sleep inside a train car. Yona awakes to some heavy footsteps outside of the train car. She peers through the window and sees that it is a polar bear, who must have smelled the food, and starts pounding on the glass with its paws, trying to get in. The glass, weakened and already cracked from the wreck, shatters. Luckily, they are saved by a group of 5 men with bows and arrows. They exit the train car, and the shooter who killed the polar bear asks if they were on the train. Yona nods, and the shooter says, "I've seen that damn thing pass every year. Always wondered about the people on it." Yona says nothing, but the shooter introduces himself as Max. He says, "We need to go. There will be more of those animals coming soon." Yona and Tim, both scared and confused, follow the men through the snow. After hours of walking, Yona asks Max how he survived the CW7. Max pauses briefly, and says, "We got very lucky. This is a tunnel system that was built long ago underground. Few people know about these tunnels, but I did. When the CW7 was injected, I grabbed my family and headed straight for the tunnels. Everything was freezing over. I'm grateful that I didn't waste time like many others. I tried to tell as many people as I could on the way to the tunnels. Some listened, others didn't. We managed to get around 100 people into the tunnels. The others perished in the cold." Yona then asks how the animals survived, and Max explains how there's an entire ecosystem of animals living down there that survived. Like the train, the conditions in these tunnels were miserable, and Max tells Yona how nearly half of them died, including his family, mostly from polar bears that lurked down there. She then asks him how he discovered that the earth was warming back up, and he says, "Being in those tunnels, it was tough for everyone. After I lost my family, I was lost. I had no purpose. My family was gone, and I didn't want to keep going. What's the point in living in those god-awful tunnels if I don't have my family? I walked through the tunnels until I reached the entrance. I was ready to end my life. But when I stepped outside, I didn't die. It was unbearably cold, but I realized that a human could survive outside. Somehow, the earth had warmed up. I ran to the others in the tunnel and told them, and we left those miserable tunnels." As they continued walking, Max points out what looks like a small village in the distance. They eventually arrive at the village, and Yona is in awe. Yona and Tim get some weird looks from the villagers, but Yona is surprised at how happy everyone looks. She explains to Max the miserable conditions that she was subject to on the train. Max responds by saying, "It isn't like that here. Everyone has a role in this society. We don't have the harsh social class that you seem to have had on the train. We share all the resources and do what we can to keep everyone happy. We have a school with teachers, we have medical physicians who take care of the sick people, and as you've probably figured out already, a large portion of our village are hunters. The animals have also left the tunnels, and every week we go out and look for animals that we can eat. Polar bears are the most common. They're hard to kill, but it's worth it. One of those beasts can feed the entire village." He's interrupted by a group of kids who want to meet Tim. Tim is shy, but he eventually goes with them. Yona watches them play and cracks a smile. Max then takes Yona to see the council, which he is a part of. He says, "Every 2 years, the village votes for 5 people to be elected to the council. I have been on the council since this village existed. Our purpose is to ensure the safety and prosperity of our village. Together, we have led our people to creating a healthy and stable society." They enter and see 4 people sitting in chairs around a fire. One of the council members tells them to sit, and they do. This council member, who Yona deduces is the leader, is very old and wears polar bear fur. He says, "We saw your train derail. Didn't think there'd be any survivors." Yona doesn't speak, but Max explains how he found her and Tim. The old man then says, "How can I know that we can trust you? After a brief pause, Yona says, I've lived on that dark, dirty train for my entire life. I've been told that I'm inferior and don't deserve the same as others. In the short time that I've been here, I've experienced more happiness than I ever thought I would. If you don't trust me, I understand. But just know that if you let me stay here in this village, I will be useful to you. Please, I will not let you down. The old man thinks to himself for a moment or two, and then replies, Very well. Max will teach you our ways and help you fit into our society. We will find a place for you here, and you are welcome to stay. Yona thanks the old man, bows her head, and leaves with Max. Feeling relieved, Yona strolls through the village with Max. She sees Tim still playing and laughing with the other kids, and in that moment, she finally feels hopeful for the future. She thanks Max and continues to watch the kids play, thinking about Namgoon and Curtis and how she wishes they could see this.